So many people go through life without thinking about retirement until they actually get there.
There is an optimal formula to retire, and it does include 401ks make perfect sense when tax rates were higher.
The book that I'm familiar with, Paychecks and Playchecks, is that your biggest book so far?
I even came out a few years ago and said I support 1% put in Bitcoin, and people thought my account got hacked because I'm the safe money guy.
I love Bitcoin.
There's a study that just came out that said people who buy Bitcoin are more financially literate than people who don't. I found that pretty interesting because
most of the time when people are working, they don't pay attention to the market. They're not watching the 401k. They might look at, it went up, and they get happy like your buddy golfing.
When you're younger, you can get your life insurance a lot more inexpensive.
Financial guru with me today, Mr. Tom Hegna. Tom, it's good to have you here.
Hey, Matt, it's great to be with you.
Tom and I met in Nashville when you came to speak at an event, which I love the name, Heroes of Zero. And so give me a quick synopsis of what the event was about.
Well, so David McKnight wrote a book called The Power of Zero. There's a movie out called The Power of Zero. I was in that movie, and David's a friend of mine. And what he did was he arranged a meeting where he got himself, me, Ed Slott, and Van Miller. We've all spoken together, but never at the same place at the same time. And so that was kind of the thing. You got the four horsemen of life insurance and annuities and tax-free investing, in one place at one time. And I think it went fantastic. I think David and his team did an incredible job.
That's awesome. How many people showed up?
Oh, there were hundreds. I think just under 300, and they all paid their own way, and they had to pay everything on their own to get there too.
Beautiful. So happy for you, man. I spent a lot of time with people who try to get in the 0% tax bracket in retirement. And the sad thing that I realized, which kind of took the wind out of my sails in that market, is so many people go through life without thinking about retirement until they actually get there.
Yep. And they could have done some tax planning early so that they wouldn't get hammered in the taxes. These 401ks and IRAs, I just believe people are going to be so disappointed at what they actually get out of them because, I was playing golf. I'm a golfer. I was playing golf a month ago with a guy, and he said, Tom, my 401k just went over $1 million. And I said, that's great. I said, how much of that is yours? And he was taken aback. He said, what do you mean? It's all mine. I said, no. With a 401k and IRA, you have a partner. In fact, you're the limited partner. The government's the general partner. They get to take their cut first. You get whatever's left over. Now, right now, they're taking out 37, 38%. What happens when that goes to 50% or 60% or 70%? And don't think it can't happen. For most of your parents' lives, the highest marginal tax rate was 70% for decades. And after World War II, is as high as 94%. So taxes are going to have to go up. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a math problem. And I just think Roth is the way to go. Roth 401k, cash value life insurance. You want to pick places to put your money where you can flip a switch and get tax-free income in retirement. That's what I would say.
Yeah, because the account value is always fun to look at. Congratulations, the account, your buddy, it's over $1 million. That's cool, but it's not yours. If you want proof, take it out. And then there's not a CPA in the country that would advise taking $1 million out of a 401k.
Right.
So it's a great account for the advisor, but not so much the consumer because they get to charge a fee on the gross amount, the pre-taxed amount.
Well, 401ks made perfect sense when tax rates were higher, and you took your money out, you got a deduction, it grew tax deferred, and then when you took it out, you'd be in a lower tax bracket. Well, that worked great, 20, 25, 30 years ago, but it doesn't work great now because you're taking it out, taking a deduction when taxes are the lowest you're ever going to see them for the rest of your life, so that you can defer those babies till when the taxes go back up to 70, 60, 70%. Then you're going to take it out. I would be converting as much as I could. Smartly into Roth, not necessarily all at once, but over time, I'd be converting as much of that as I could.
Yeah. Well, so you're a financial guru, but you weren't always a financial guru. So talk to me about your journey. When we were chatting the other day, you told me you were in the military for a few years. You traveled a lot. Tell me what happened.
So, I was born and raised in a small town in Minnesota. I went to college at North Dakota State University on an Army ROTC scholarship. I was commissioned in the military. I spent 6 years active duty Army. I was over in Germany for 3 years. I was at Fort Huachuca, Arizona twice. I was at Fort Ord, California in the 7th ID Light. Then I stayed in the reserves for another 16 and a half years, retired as lieutenant colonel. I was doing counterterrorism operations for Southeast Asia. I either worked for Japan or Korea that whole time. And we basically would meet in Hawaii a lot. So I've been to Hawaii 40 times. But then I got in the insurance industry, and I first started with MetLife. I was there 8 years. I was an agent. I was a manager. I was a national marketing manager of their VUL product, their variable life product. Then Met started demutualizing, and I didn't really like that whole thing. And so at the same time, New York Life came calling to me, and so I made a switch over to New York Life. Started out as an annuity wholesaler. I've been traveling 200 days a year for the past 30 years, but I started out with a smaller territory and then got a bigger one and a big one. Pretty soon I was a national manager. And then I went to the home office. I worked my way up to be a senior executive officer in the company. And then in 2011, I retired. I've written 6 books, 5 of them on retirement. I've had 2 of those books sell over $1 million each. I've spoken on main platforms all over the country. And I've done over 5,000 live presentations in all 50 states. I've trained over 300,000 financial advisors. So that's kind of a one over the world on me.
I love it, man. And so it sounds like, being drawn to the insurance and the annuity side, you're more interested in, guarantees rather than speculation. Is that fair?
Well, I'm a holistic guy. So like I even came out a few years ago and said, I support 1% put in Bitcoin, and people thought my account got hacked because I'm the safe money guy. But the deal is there is an optimal formula to retire. And it does include life insurance. It does include annuities. It does include long-term care insurance. It does include investments. It includes all of those things, but it's the right place at the right time with the right amount. And everything I write and talk about is based in math and science. It's not my opinion. It's not the opinion of some Joe Joker out there. This is the research of the leading PhDs in the world. It's the research of Ernst & Young, an accounting firm, the research of BlackRock. They have more money in the stock market than Fidelity or Vanguard. The research of leading PhDs like Dr. David Babel of Wharton, Dr. Moshe Milevsky of Toronto, Dr. Menachem Yari of Israel, Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, Nobel Prize recipients, Dr. William Sharp, and Dr. Robert C. Merton. Those are the people I get my information from, not some TV commercial, that's spreading misinformation.
Wow, that's got to give you confidence.
Well, because it can be proven. It's math and science. It's not opinion. And so if somebody says they don't believe in annuities, they can retire that way, but their portfolio will be suboptimal. That's a fact. It'll be less than what it could or otherwise could or what it should be. There's been white paper after white paper showing that annuities are far more efficient than bonds. So if people just move their bond portfolio to an annuity, it, number one, will improve portfolio performance. That is a fact. Number 2, you're likely to be happier. And number 3, now the research shows you're likely to live longer as well. So if something can help you have a better result in your portfolio, can allow you to be happier in retirement, and can allow you to live longer, I can't see why anybody would be against them. I don't sell annuities. I own 13 of them, okay? Dr. David Babel didn't sell annuities. He owned 14 of them. The people who know the most about retirement are the ones that own the most annuities, I think.
What's ironic, too, is the people who push market, the opportunity to get a huge rate of return have no risk in the consumer's ability to get the rate of return.
Right. And they almost have very little liability when the consumer loses money. And so, look, I'm not against stocks. I'm not against stock market. I told you I support a 1% portfolio into Bitcoin. 1%.
Good moon, baby. I love Bitcoin.
and they, there's a study that just came out that said people who buy Bitcoin are more financially literate than people who don't. I found that pretty interesting because most people think people who buy Bitcoin are stupid. But when you really study it, I don't think it's stupid. It's certainly worth 1% of my portfolio. And I was the biggest Bitcoin non-believer in the world because what is it? It's nothing. It's a greater fool theory. And then I watched this guy, I think it was Michael Saylor, and he said, look, we believe, and he laid out this case, a believable case to a non-believer like me that Bitcoin could hit $1 million of Bitcoin someday. And he said, all we're recommending is that our wealthy clients put 1% of their portfolio in there, because if it goes to 0, 1% won't hurt you. But if it goes to $1 million, you're going to be sure happy you did it. And I did. That resonated with me. So I put 1% of my portfolio. That's the best thing I've ever owned. I'm up 30x of what I put in. It's crazy. I got in when Bitcoin was like $2,000 a Bitcoin.
Wow. Good for you, man. So when you left the wholesale into like your own entrepreneurial venture, were you nervous? Were there people saying don't do it? Did you just know you saw the light at the end of the tunnel? What was your thought process for that?
I went into it, I won't say totally blind. I mean, I'd watched other people do it, but you never know how it's going to turn out. And, you you just got to go out there. And I did not even take a loan. I financed it all myself. And I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with advertising and sponsoring things because I wanted to get my name out there. Now, I was building a brand, and now I've built a brand. Now I'm trying to unbuild it. I'm trying to retire. But I tried everything. I would say a lot of things didn't work, but I threw a lot of stuff up against the wall, and it all worked out. I even took out ads in airline magazines. I had TV commercials. It was crazy, some of the money I spent. But you know what? All in all, it all worked.
Yeah. And so when you're spending money, what was it on the book, on a speaking fee? What were you? How did you start?
I was a sponsor of NAFA. I was a sponsor of Gamma. I mean, those are $30,000-$40,000 a year sponsorships that came out of my pocket. I ran, I hired some telemarketers. I did TV commercials. I cost money. Airtime cost money. I did magazine advertisements. Of course, I did Facebook, LinkedIn. I was just doing a lot of different things. I was spending, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in those first couple of years, just starting to try to build a brand. But, I'd already spoken, main platform, top of the table, main platform, NAFA, main platform at MDRT. And so I was a known entity out there in the retirement income space, but, it was still very early on. And there was definitely risk, but I'm glad I took the risk because it paid off handsomely.
Cheers to entrepreneurial desire. So when you're the book that I'm familiar with, Paychecks and Playchecks, is that your biggest book so far?
Well, I mean, that was my first book. The Don't Worry, Retire Happy probably sold more now because this was a PBS TV special that played in 80 million homes in the US and Canada. So that went crazy, in those years. But they both been very, very successful. Retirement Income Master, Secrets of the Pros, that's for advisors. So, it's got a more limited market. I've also got 2 books in Canada that, Canada's a limited market as well. And then, my latest book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? This is for young people. This is for Generation X, Y, Z, millennials, on how to build wealth. And I teach people how simple it is to become a millionaire in America today. Not easy, but simple. And there's a simple formula for that, just like there's a simple formula to retire. And most people don't know the simple formula. So that's all I do.
Yeah. I mean, you have people out there selling $10,000 courses on how to get rich or how to do X, Y, Z. And, I saw one thing, you see this all the time. People will sell a course, or their post will be, I make $2 million, or I made $1 million last year in my coaching business. Click here to learn how. Well, they're going to make another $1 million or $2 million teaching people how they only made $1 million.
Yeah. No,
and then you have coaches selling coaches, and it's this massive, everybody's just paying each other, and it's going in a whirlwind, and I don't even know where the value is in that. And when you can bring in science to a speculative profession like financial planning, because most of the time when people are working, they don't pay attention to the market. They're not watching the 401k. They might look, it went up, and they get happy like your buddy golfing, but they don't know how it's going to end up. And they wait too long to actually figure out how to create that income when they actually get to retirement.
And when you're younger, you can get your life insurance a lot more inexpensive, your long-term care insurance more inexpensive. And those are all things that you're going to need to have in retirement. And for all the people who say you don't need life insurance in retirement, they don't understand what they're talking about. I've been moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance. My annual premium is $226,000 a year. I'm serious about moving money to life insurance. Now, people who think life insurance is an expense, they'd say, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? But see, I know it's not an expense. It's an asset on my balance sheet. And every single penny I put in that policy, plus a lot more, is in there. And it just keeps growing, and it's all growing. And I can take that money out tax-free. And I always tell people, if you want a lot of money tax-free in retirement, you got to put some money in there. You're not going to get there with $1,000 a year, and then you want, I want $30,000 a year tax-free. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. Unless you start when you're a baby. You got to put some money in if you want to take a lot of money out. And I want to take a lot of tax-free money out. And so I put money in. And then another reason some people don't enjoy their retirement is because they think they got to leave some money to their kids. Oh, we got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. So they deny themselves retirement to leave money to their kids. I tell people all the time, don't leave any money to your kids. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to spend all your money. Leave them life insurance, because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. And I use me as an example. We got 4 kids. And so one day we're sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary. When we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax-free. That's $250,000 a piece tax free plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million secondary life insurance policy, named the 4 kids beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what that total cost that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we transfer $1 million tax free to our kids. But here's the best part. Who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do. So, people think they want to leave their kids some money. Just ask your insurance advisor to run a life insurance illustration for that amount. And you can do that for pennies on the dollar.
And when you say you can spend the other $850, you mean the $850 that is out of the policy that's in your other assets?
No, but if we were going to give our kids, let's say instead we're going to give our kids $1 million. Yep. Okay, that's $1 million of our cash we gave to the kids when we die or whatever. But that means we didn't get to spend that other $850,000. We just took $150 of that. We can buy a policy to go to the kids, and then we spend the other $850,000 instead of giving that to the kids.
Yeah, I love it. I used to joke that I'm so cheap, I'm not going to leave my family any of my money. I'm going to let the insurance company pay them, not me.
Yeah.
And the fun part is we don't know when we expire, right? Like
right.
I could expire tomorrow. I could expire when I'm 90. So if I expire when I'm 90, they might not get as much, but you better believe we're going to have insurance that's going to subsidize that because I want to enjoy life if I live a long, healthy life.
Plus, you'd have probably given them some gifts all those years, and then it would have probably wound up to be very similar. I mean, I just don't understand why people don't want to use these tools that can allow them to have a better retirement, because in their mind, they think, oh, annuities are bad or life insurance is bad or long-term care. Look, and I'm 70% retired, just so you know. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. I own 13 annuities. I got millions of cash value in my life insurance policy. I have full unlimited benefit long-term care plans. I'm not just talking this. I live this every day. I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. I play pickleball 2 days a week. My wife and I went on a Panama Canal cruise. We went on a Mediterranean cruise for our 40th anniversary. We just got back from a Caribbean cruise. We're leaving this fall for a Canary Island cruise. I'm just booking our flights for our Australian cruise next. So I'm living, what happened was I was almost a workaholic. I was the hardest worker I knew for 30 years. Okay. I didn't know anybody in the world that worked harder than me. I was the hardest worker I knew. And then I lost my best golfing buddy at 56. I lost another golfing buddy at 42 to COVID, lost my dad, lost my mom. I'm sitting in a hotel room somewhere saying, what the heck am I doing? I have enough. And you know what? Very few people are blessed with enough. They want more and more and more and more. They want to fly private and they want to do this. And I just said, look, I got enough for my wife and I to live a great retirement. I'm going to do that. And so I tripled my speaking fee. I knocked out all those events. I used to do 300-400 events a year because I do 2-3 a day. Now last year I did 25. Okay. But I do a lot of virtual. I do stuff like this all the time. But it's because none of us know how long we have. That's what you said. Yeah. And I could die tomorrow. And what good is it if I work, and then die? So I'm a work hard, play hard guy. And now I'm the hardest player that I know. I play as hard as I can.
Well, good for you. I think the idea of retirement is changing because we can be a consultant online like you're doing. And kudos to tripling your speaker's fee. Well, that was probably a nervous move. Like, should I do this? But you probably had some second thoughts there.
Well, not really, because again, I feel like I have enough. And so I was just trying to knock out all the little, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I used to do 15 a week sometimes. I mean, I was exhausted at the end of the week, and yeah, I made some money, but it was exhausting. And is that what I want to do for the rest of my life? No, I'll still do the big meetings, the Hero of Zero. I'll still do NAIF. I'll still do Gamma. I'll still do MDRT, those types of meetings. But I don't want to do the 3 a day anymore in Pittsburgh when it's snowing and slushy. And pair of shoes. I ruined so many pairs of shoes in the Northeast. It was crazy.
Now you're in Arizona, for people that don't know, and it doesn't really snow too much down there.
Well, here in Flagstaff, it does. I mean, like I said, they're still skiing in Flagstaff until June 1st. It's crazy.
That's cool.
I'm sure there's probably only 1 or 2 runs open, but there are runs open.
You mentioned something that I have always found funny when people talk about an objective product and saying that it's bad. So life insurance is bad or annuities are bad. It always makes me chuckle because how can it be bad, right? It can't. It's there's pros and cons. It's not good or bad, right? So for different people, it means different things. So how do you respond when people say, annuities are bad?
Well, I always tell people, I tell advisors, if somebody doesn't like annuities, you cannot change their mind. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. But I said you can put evidence in front of them so that they can change their own mind. So let me just read you a few of these. Okay, these are some of this is some of the research I do. Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, two of the smartest PhDs in the world. If the reason you save for retirement was to provide a secure lifestyle, there's no more efficient way to create lifetime income than through an annuity. Purchasing an income annuity with a portion of retirement savings could provide a higher potential for success, greater legacy wealth over long term, and increased risk capacity. Income annuities are less expensive and safer for risk-averse retirees whose primary goal is income security in retirement. BlackRock sells no annuities. They have $9 trillion in the stock market. Adding guaranteed lifetime income combined with a more aggressive asset allocation generates 29% more annual spending ability from one's retirement savings and reduces downside risk by 33%. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, again, income annuities provide confidence, the freedom to spend and invest, as well as the opportunity to leave a legacy. The Center for Research for Retirement Research at Boston College. Lifetime income products are a cornerstone of retirement planning. U.S. News and World Report, you buy an annuity because it does the one thing that no other investment can do, provide guaranteed lifetime income for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Dr. Roger Ibsen wrote a whole white paper. You can look it up. He compared fixed index annuities to bonds. He found that fixed index annuities have outperformed bonds for the last 40 years, and they're likely to do so for the next 40 years. Barclays says fixed index annuities beat bonds. The Wall Street Journal, the case for replacing some bonds with annuities. Ernst & Young, they sell no annuities. They're an accounting firm. They tried to find the perfect retirement portfolio. You know what it looked like? 30% cash value life insurance, 30% income annuities, 40% investments. And if you looked at my portfolio, it would be almost dead on that. I might be a little higher on life and a little higher on annuity. Bitcoin. Yeah, and 1% of Bitcoin. But I mean, this is the research. These are the facts. So people have these false opinions. It's crazy. I don't know how you could hate a product. It'd be like if you said, I hate screwdrivers. I have a hammer and a wrench. Those are the things I like. I will never use a screwdriver. Well, try to unscrew something with a hammer or wrench. It doesn't work. These are just tools in the toolbox that when used properly will enhance your retirement, not take away from it. That'll make your retirement better. And so, I can't change everybody's mind. I don't try to, but they can read the research for themselves.
Agreed. Lead them to water. Can't make them drink.
Yep.
At some point, you hope that they wake up because it's their money, but if not, then it's still their money. And not
if they want to be suboptimal in retirement, everybody, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. You can smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day if you want to. You're not going to live that long, but you can do it. We have a free country. So if they want to live suboptimally,
what do you say when people say, life insurance and annuities have commissions and it's all about the commissions for the advisor?
Well, but the other products have fees, and those fees are higher than the commissions. And besides, the commissions are paid by the insurance company. See, I never understood this fee versus commission argument. The commission is not taken out of the client's account. Now, certainly product is priced to pay a commission, but the insurance company pays the commission. You put $100,000 in annuity, $100,000 goes in. You put $100,000 in life insurance, $100,000 goes in. They're not taking money out of your account for a fee. It's a commission that's paid by the insurance company to the agent. If you don't do that, you go to a broker, you put your money in a forever fee account, and they're going to charge you 1.5, whatever their fee is, every single year. Market's down 30%, you're going to pay a fee. Market's up, you're going to pay a fee. Over time, you're going to pay a lot more money in fees than you would have ever paid in a commission. A commission's a one-time small paid by the insurance company versus forever fees that you pay. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying I don't know why people pick on commissions. That doesn't come out of the client's account. It comes out of the insurance company's account. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. But that's the way our world is.
I love it, man. When you on social media, especially, you get people to comment on it's all about the commissions. You get that all the time, and they've obviously never done the math on the
fees,
fee side.
You're going to pay way more in fees than you ever would in a commission product.
Yeah. Yeah. When you structure life insurance, do you see, you get some zealots out there that say it's got to be as much PUA or cash value as possible. And then you have estate planning attorneys and advisors that say it's not always about the cash value. Then you have second to die policies that don't even really mention cash value. What are your thoughts on the zealots out there that say one is the only way to go?
Well, they're all right for a specific set. So I'll use me as an example. I have a policy, the one that I said we bought $1 million second die, named the 4 kids beneficiary. I don't care what the cash value is. That's not a cash value policy for me. That's a death benefit. That's $1 million. It's like a term to age 121. That's what that is. But I paid it all up. It's done. I'm not going to get an increase in premium. I don't have to pay any more. It's just a death benefit. That's all I bought that for. When I'm putting that $226,000 a year into my policy, that's for cash value. And I'm using paid up additions rider. I'm loading in as much cash as I can because I don't want to take out loans in retirement. I want to flip the switch and just make withdrawals. And I loaded it with so much cash, I can make withdrawals. I don't have to take any loans. See, the problem with taking loans in retirement, if you don't have a net zero loan, that loan can eat up the policy. And so I don't want to be in a position where I'm taking loans out of a life insurance. I just want to take withdrawals out of my life insurance policy. And if you load it up with that paid up additions rider and put more cash in there, you're always allowed to withdraw your dividends. You don't have to borrow them out. You can withdraw them. And I've got a bunch of that in the policy now.
I love it, man. And I'm going to look this up, the Ernst & Young, because I refer to it as a three-legged stool. 30% in each of those asset classes. And I have a feeling people listening to this are going to rewind and listen to this again. Not that you talk too fast, but you ramble off some pretty good stuff, and it's worth listening to twice.
Yeah, I mean, they can always read the book, and the books have the same type of information in them.
I love it. So, all right. So in the description of the podcast, I'm going to put some links to your stuff. What do you think? So the young people will get the How to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And all of my books are available on Amazon. There's Paychecks and Playchecks. Don't worry, retire happy. They're available at tomhegna.com. The Millionaire book, if you buy it on tomhegna.com, we have a free shipping offer right now, so that's a good place to get that. But they're available on Amazon or at my store at tomhegna.com.
I love it, Tom. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, even though it was brief. I know you are slowing down, but don't ever retire 100%. One, I think you'd be bored, but two, the industry needs the voice of science and reason and not speculation. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right, Tommy. Thanks for being here, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.